Ready to do? Hey, we still got 16 seconds.
Still firing it
I
off.
don't do on this. Not according to the narrative. That only says whatever Jeff climbed on the chair.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States. To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
September meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners, roll call.
Rich. Here. Nick.
Here.
Dan. Here. Brian. Here.
Public session for agenda items only. Hearing nothing, moving on to district building report. Joey's not here.
He might come later, but he couldn't be here. Yeah. He told me he really didn't have anything.
Okay.
We met Hippos there this morning. They started the work. Should be done by Thursday, and you'll also see an updated expense report in there that I put in Dropbox.
Move along the department's president's reports, DFT.
We had two applicants, however, it got narrowed down to one. Our second applicant had a family emergency back in Utica where the rest of her family were in dysfunctional setup where we was back there with her whole family. We voted her in, and her name was Allison Ellis. We voted her in at the company level. We're going to keep her as a company member, and if she comes back and wants to join the district, and it's going to be back in the area, we'll resubmit her application to the district. The other individual is Pablo Reyes. He comes with the recommendation of the executive committee and was voted in by the membership. Details are on his applications. We have two facility use requests. One is for Eric Denny on October 18th, which is use the meeting room and members room for a birthday party. The other is by Erica Hubby for November 8th, which is the meeting room, members room for a family Thanksgiving party. Those were approved by the executive committee, and the dates are open, and they were given to Durivage, assistant for submission. Our recruitment and retention committee has been busy planning a few events. The largest is the fire prevention open house here at the firehouse. They're also looking into either hosting or going to a trunk or treat event in October. Use that as a recruitment tool. And we also are planning a Photos with Santa event on December 13th, which our committee is coordinating both with Wyanskill and North Greenbush Police PBA. The PBA has graciously come on board again, as they did historically, to pay for all of their refreshments and photographs and things like that. So really, there's not going to be any cost, I believe, to either company. PBA is going to cover that for us. Also this month, we honored Lieutenant Jeff Pirro as our firefighter of the month for his dedicated service as a firefighter and promoting our social media, and also working on our summer. He coordinated our summer softball team, which was undefeated. That is it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions for the president? Mine still said they had a quiet month, so they have no reports. You guys all see Dropbox. On to private approval, private month's minutes. Motion,
I'll make a motion. Approved.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Treasury report.
Here comes the bank reconciliations for your review and sign off on. The money market had a reconciled balance of $1,119,557, earning $1,927 worth of interest for the month. Of the total $960,947 capital reserve equipment, $107,318 in capital reserve building, and for repairs, we have $51,261. Total interest on that account is about $14,581. The WFP fund, that was a bond fund that we had set up for the upgrade to the new station. Currently has a reconciled balance of $275,996.66. Interest for the month of August was $507. Year to date, we had $5,100. We're almost coming to the close of that account, and decide how we want to apply that money probably next month. The checking account had a reconciled balance of $392,383. $758 worth of interest for the month, $9,166 interest for the year. All of the bank reconciliations and copies of the bank statements are here and attached for all three accounts, as well as with the checking account. I provided you with a copy of all of the canceled checks, which Janice and Kate is not on anything. I don't think it is. The fourth to last page is just a list of all the checks, payments that were made, and the vendors and so forth that were approved last month's meeting. And then the final 3 or 4 pages, just our actual expenditures to budget, still under budget so far this year. That's all I have for this part.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And a resolution to accept the treasurer's report, so as well.
Second.
Second, Bob. We're done. We'll work ours now.
Brian. Dan.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Rich. Aye. Robert.
Aye. All right, moving on to approval of current month's invoice list. One month, but I was fortunately late tonight, so Brian.
Just pretty much, I mean, the biggest thing is the 81,000 in the bond payment, but, two things to note there, payroll for Oliver. It's at least the second or third time I've seen it. There's been no timesheet, no voucher, just some handwriting and nothing there. I should have a timesheet like Bonnie and everybody else has to put in for the voucher.
Yeah, but I can, I'm sorry. Can I just explain? I still have his paycheck. I don't give him his paycheck until I get his time slip. It's sitting over in the mailbox.
It's just hard to approve.
Yeah, no, I do what to do. It's just, he texts me how many hours he works, because he knows it does it through the checks on the first, and he doesn't always have his time slip done, so I just cut the check because I cut it all on the first. But I don't hand it to him. I can go get it. It's in my
I
satchel.
think he's got to start getting it in though.
No, I
It's,
agree.
this is like real government, whether we, you know what I mean, if we're vouching and it's a lot for whoever.
Yeah. I did have it, because again, it came up last month when you did it, because that was the second time you were on.
Right.
And I did mention it to him, it just, guess I just have a soft spot for him in my heart, and that.
No, we just don't want some, you know, you get audited or something by the controller's office and we're getting digged on something.
Please, no, can you pause that? I've kind of been doing it this way for the last 4 years. I don't get his check until I get the time. Usually I get it beforehand. Sorry about that. Yes, I agree 100% in terms of the internal controls and all of that, yes. I apologize, so,
And the only other thing I found in there was, just out of curiosity, looks like we're spending $1,047 to service a cutter's edge saw. Seems like really high. So I don't know if we need to get other vendors, other options, but I'm spending almost $1,100 to do a service on a saw.
So it was only like 900 change, but it was the saw, they cleaned up chains we had, or that chains we had also.
Right.
So more than that, and then we got extra air filters because we didn't have any. So it kind of was like a package thing.
It's just a service, $890 something.
Yeah, and then
repair,
the shipping back and forth. So it was the saw service, chain service, and a couple extra components like air filters. They keep them up pretty well. So instead of trying to order one at a time.
Yeah, there's might be other options. That's all I'm thinking. So I think there's an option. I don't want to speak out of turn. I think we found, Bob, was it you found there's a vendor local that works in this stuff?
No, DFD has got a vendor that they use locally.
It's just something to look at.
Here's the thing, so that, I thought this was a conversation with the two chainsaws. So the place that was sent back to does cutter's edge, truckman saws, cutter's edge no longer business. So they absorb all their proprietary parts and that's what they do. So the saw went back to there because they have the parts. Instead of us trying to buy the parts offline, it would have been more expensive to do that. Buying air filters from a third party instead of going to the actual dealer.
Gotcha. I assume we're not gonna buy any more new ones down the road, because they're going the business, just something to keep an eye on.
Well, they don't make the red brand anymore. It's now the orange brand. So it's,
The industry's going to electric anyway. Yeah, that's, we just fall on. All right, I mean, those are the only two things that jump out.
Make a resolution. to Approve the current month's invoices. Roll call vote.
Bob, Rich, Nick, Dan, Brian.
All right, correspondence received.
Yep, we received DFD's fundraising letter, the revised one. That they were recommended to make some changes. They did. A memorial invitation for the New York State Fallen Firefighters Day is in there. We received a check from Wyanskill Fire Department for the renovation project. $4,888.98. The M&T month-end collateral statement ending 8/29/25. The Association of Fire Districts of New York State Affairs, August through September. And we sent a letter to WFD for the renovation reimbursements that we received the check on.
Any questions about the fundraising letter that was resent?
Oh, the fund letter, yes.
Yeah.
I'll make.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Perfect. Moving on to old business, Swiss Acres border pressure concerns. I don't know if you want that on.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, August 11th, the DFD chief Dan was bringing up some things about hydrants and really more about dry hydrants, but I took the opportunity to just say that seemed to kind of be when fire department was drilling, that entire Swiss Acres development would completely lose water, not just low pressure, but like not a drop would come out of a hydrant or out of a faucet. As luck would have it, the very next day, August 12th, same thing happened. Fire department was drilling here, not flowing a lot of water. Development lost all water. And it's obviously creating a concern up there. So there was an email thread with the chiefs, the commissioners, kind of about this. So based on, and I spoke with Dan on the phone, based on the feedback that I hear from people in that area, the two chiefs, other concerns that were mentioned, I drafted a letter to kind of bring all of them to the forefront. I included everybody's comments. And that can get sent out tomorrow. I'm sure there's other ones, but at least it will hopefully get a conversation going. And I think it's important that we tell them in writing that these issues exist. Not that it completely transfers liability or anything, but we don't want something to happen. That's that, but I really want to have it sent out until.
Dan, we intending to send it to.
So it's addressed to Keith Henkel, but at the suggestion of different people in that email thread which you were a part of. Copied the town supervisor, the town board, Eric Westfall, the board of fire commissioners, and the two chiefs. I can show you.
Thank you.
But it basically talks about the Swiss acres issue and then, won't read it verbatim in the essence of time, but, hydrant on Linda Lane, hydrants on Route 115, Snyder's Corners Road, Pershing and Lake Shore, damaged hydrant on Washington Avenue east of Van Alstyne, and then clarifying whether the improvements that the town made, what the effect was at Taliska Acres and Dutch Acres. And I'm sure we could pick out others, but I mean, there could be a 10-page letter, but
It's
just gets the ball rolling.
I mean, you can go back to the night that with the new hydrant system on 43 got turned on and we flowed water in Dutch Acres. And it was enough that we got a low level waterfall alarm, and then when we turned the water back on and we stopped flowing water, it was enough of a surge that it blew a pipe at Eastern Village. So I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That goes back.
and I think, as you pointed out in one of your emails, this has got to be more than for an entire development to lose water when you're barely flowing any water back
Yeah,
here.
this was
There's got to be an issue somewhere else.
a minimal flow drill, right?
But it's not coincidence that on July 15th, August 5th, and August 12th, at 7:30 at night, when they lost water is also when these minimal water flow was occurring. So whatever, it gets the ball rolling. And then, Dan, I included all your comments, and I spoke with you on the phone, Dan, so. That's it.
Appreciate the effort. If so, then we'll get a little harder because
Yeah, so when they get back to me, my intent would be to set up the meeting, obviously, of the two chiefs there, and if another, really can't be three of us, but another commissioner wants to join, depending when it is, your availability, that'd be great.
perfect. Anybody else have any questions for Dan? On a new business. So proposal for window sills for DFD.
Yes, so you have a proposal in Dropbox. There's, 2 points to this proposal. The first is under our long-range facilities plan. We are, scheduled actually really like a year to 2 years ago about, looking at the caulking at the seam where the concrete meets the cultured stone and the red brick on the exterior here. But we have sustained some problems with water coming in at the windowsills. A good example, you can probably see it right behind Cal over there. You can see how the sill, the lamination is swelled up. So water's getting in, and it's happened in like 3 to 4 different locations. That's probably the worst. So rather than just hire a contractor to come in and caulk, I spoke to Brian about this, and we really feel the best thing to do is get CS Arch back in here, have them take a good look at the specifications, have them do an investigation as to what the cause could be. We have some good ideas of what we think it is. And, you know, we're hoping that maybe with good caulking and a little bit better eye on preventive maintenance, that won't happen again. However, I think it would suit the board best in spending money that we have something to go back to. CS Arch is, you know, they've really never charged us for a lot of stuff that they've done over time here. And I just think it's wise to do this, because to do this project just in caulking could be $5,000 to $8,000 for the building. And now if we have to start replacing some of the interior sills, what do we replace them with? Do we go to, you know, like a quartz stone, which might be easier and better as opposed to a laminate? So, so I think we can charge them to give us some good guidance in a couple areas here. And the cost for the investigation in the report be $1,200 each, so $2,400 for their services. And they would, Elizabeth, who's been working with us since our new building project, said they would also work on helping us draft out the scope of work. I told her, you know, we probably really wouldn't need you much during the construction phase, but if there was a question or something we had, we would pay an hourly rate. And they've been, again, I can't speak high enough about every time we need them and have a question or need a submittal from back, 9 years ago, bang, it's right to us. Good company to work with.
Resolution for. 2400, right?
Yep. And then if we need to do an hourly rate after the fact, but that's gonna come to you guys next anyway, after we get that back. Right, and then because we'll have to do a scope for what work we're gonna wanna do.
Can I have one resolution for this one? A second.
Second by Brian, roll call vote.
Bob.
Aye.
Rich. Aye. Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Except one quick question for Bob. I'm just curious, are any of the, folks that we dealt with still there at CSR? Or is it all new people?
A couple, Dan did finally retire, Dan Woodside retired. But Rich Peckham, he's been there, so he's one of the kind of principals there. So there are still a few, not as many, but it's good that Elizabeth is because she was part of it.
This is surplus inventory disposal form. I don't know if anybody took a look at what the chief was throwing out,
1,016 plus flashlights.
and then some of them turn up here and stuff. I believe we need to make a motion on this, right?
So it's a resolution, yeah. And
Sorry, no, it is. All right, I will make a resolution to dispose of the stuff that's listed by the school chief.
Second.
Roll call
Bob.
Aye.
Rich. Nick. Dan.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
vote. Right, department chief's report. Chief.
So Friday, we had fire on Sandy Drive. Crews had a quick stop of a large RV between a single family home and a three-story apartment building. Got a quick lines on it and prevented from spreading to those two buildings. They got a little lucky that they were both brick buildings, because that, you can see the pictures, that thing was going. So good work by the crews. It was a tough time of the day, just before 9. So late turnout, but we got done. So can't say enough good things about the 9/7 crew and crew lines built. Great. Anklet nights in regards to having the first alarm. They show up with lots of people and they aren't afraid to work. The Rescue Night Committee was formed at the request of the board. So we got myself, Captain Klug, Engineer Schneider, Lieutenant Hogan, and our lines representative, so we cast Chief John Hanlon. So we'll have a meeting come up here in hopefully next month or so and kind of start getting the ball rolling. So we get everything out of time. Thank Commissioner Garrett for the water issue, kind of spearheading that. We appreciate it. I sent an email to my chief, Chief Wilson, and Mr. Skipo today. We seem to get more requests for information from like news organizations for Facebook or them just calling here after a fire accident or something. So I'm looking for a little guidance to try to put together a significant incident kind of press release outline. Just so we have some sort of uniform way of putting information together and getting it out. Even if we just put it on our Facebook and social media pages or our website, just something so we can get condensed information out in some way, shape, or form. And that's not just up to myself or one of the other chiefs or officer to, decide what information we're going to put out. I put together a short draft of just what I could find, sent to Commissioner Skipo. I requested maybe a little consult from Mr. Hannigan about best practices of, EIO type stuff and press releases, just make sure we're getting the correct information out and we cover any legal basis about what that kind of stuff out. So I'll send to Chief Wilson, so if he's interested. And it should probably be a district thing. I know like the department usually puts out Facebook posts, Instagram, the pictures are right up, but maybe something a little more formal, especially if the news agencies are calling asking instead of just directly to our Facebook page. So I don't know if there's any discussion on that before my last.
I just forwarded it all to you. I didn't realize, I looked at it really fast at work, I didn't realize you didn't send it to everybody, so.
I didn't think of it until over the weekend when, we got a couple requests for information. Yeah, it's not fair to like our social media team to field those, and then we're delaying the process of getting out, so. Right after a fire accident, something major, put together some information, send out. I just want to make sure we're doing it in sort of uniform way and what the district's happy with. But we can work on that, obviously, it's no rush, but
I thought what you did was, my opinion was pretty well written and just kind of kept to the basics that anybody who showed up can figure that all stuff out. I mean, just gave a quick report, a synopsis of what happened. You didn't use no names, just used the address of the building, which anybody can find that, so.
so if there's,
For whatever, reason, I can't open the attachment. No, it's just,
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
Could be being somehow, I mean,
if you get a chance, Dan, can you just forward it to?
yeah, like, I just want to.
I'll forward it to you guys right now.
Yeah, get some feedback, because I don't know everything about it either, so just like you guys. Talk about it another day. And the last note is, I know there's discussion last month meeting about having another long range planning meeting in the year. We had one at the end of 2024. Which we had really good discussion. And I'd like to keep that going. There's several topics that probably need some attention before the end of the year, sure. So if we can get that scheduled and keep those good conversations going, that'd be great. And I'm sure it's later down on the itinerary, but just get the ball rolling for 2026.
Yeah, Will, it's coming up there. We were gonna do one last month for everybody's, that we kind of looked at. We just did one in March, actually, was the last one. Got the notes from March. Didn't see too much that changed. We hadn't really taken any actions on anything. I don't want to jump ahead to that part. So then we went to go to low SAP, because that was more pressing. So we're gonna go long range again in September. At some point, we do gotta do something about that.
anything else, Chief?
That's all I got.
Thank you.
I have a question. So on the committee appointment, I know the board has in the past, approved the committee. Is that something?
Committee normally accepts recommendations.
Right.
The board of fire commissioners is the one who appoints.
But we did ask them last month.
To supply names,
We did ask them.
right?
So he did what we asked.
So I think they're just asking, do we want?
I only
Right.
quote part where I was reading something.
Basically, you want to know,
I'm asking, yeah, I was just asking, is that it was, Chief Sheehan, Captain Lieutenant Hogan, Task Chief John Hanlon from WFD, and firefighter James Schneider. Is that correct?
Thank you. Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I think it's great that we include somebody from wine skill, especially someone like John, who has so much knowledge.
Especially with somebody with John's credentials.
I'll make the motion.
I was gonna ask you, I thought you were saying.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to appoint those, people recommended by the chief to the.
And then typically the two commissioners that are in charge of that sit on.
Need a second.
You're kind of like already appointed, because you're on the.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second. Chief Dan Wilson.
Thank you. Reports were submitted, purchases were submitted, my fuel logs were submitted. Next week, WFP is hosting the Battalion 3 Chiefs meeting, right at 7 p.m. The 3 chiefs attended the mobile CAD training county con a couple weeks ago, and we're doing some in-house training for members at the end of the month. We talked about the qualifications and stuff we changed about. Would it be possible to get some kind of formal write-up letter sent to the company so they know about that, not just we tell them? So we're officially in writing.
Yeah, I don't know if Mike put that together or not.
We'll we'll update the policy.
Okay.
That was, I didn't update it yet, but I'll do it and send it to you to make sure it's correct.
All right.
Then you print it out, yeah, that's fine, this is just.
If you ever have one person
Yeah.
call about asking what the changes were.
Yeah, just makes life a little easier.
Absolutely.
This year, we're planning our fire prevention visits in the school on 10/8/25. Committee putting stuff together for that. Apparatus, this week from the run up to, squad 14, 14, 20, where in work. We're into the floor, the squad will be headlamps with the cold water. Utility 14 is a backup alarm. I'm not sure if it's ever been done from the documentation, does the trailer need to be inspected? Since it's registered and.
Trailers.
I didn't see a sticker on the license plate, so I have to just kind of, I lost the trouble, so that's probably go there too as well.
Annual inspection.
Okay. Also, I noticed that the certification for the aerial inspection, so it expires on 5/22. So I'll put an email on them as well, so see when that's gonna get done or when can it get done. And also I put in, some items about for 2026 budget. One of them was the retrofitting utility 42. I put a whole thing together. That was in my pack of stuff I dropped off today for you guys to review. Just something to keep in mind for next year. What I'd like to do is just upgrade some of the components of it and kind of retrofit it to having an enclosed cap, a little bit better slide out tray, because the one that's on there is, it's not feasible. You get kind of into the rig to get stuff out of the back of the rig. It's just, there's a lot to it, and it can be a little bit more organized with just stuff loose in the back of the truck. And the whole proposal, I should say, the packet I put there, I wrote it out, so it's for your reading for next year. A couple of things for next year, like maybe you guys can look into doing either through grants or finding money for is lightweight PPE for members, duty uniform for some mentioned a couple of years ago, and talked about the command vehicle replacement stuff for next year. So that's all I got.
Any questions for Chief?
Not just, I mean, it's not really a question, but we missed a couple of reports, just saying that.
Which ones?
Incident log and participation. We got the LoSAP report.
Which one? So the low side?
I'll show you after. If you
All right,
want.
that's
The
fine.
incident log and the participation report where, they run monthly, where the calls were, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So the thing about sent, I went through it again to make sure they were all there, and a couple were missing, so I had to.
Gotcha.
It might have been still on my desk too, so either way, I'll bring it back. I'll email.
I use that to cheat when I have to count all the Vander item responses.
They're good. We're getting better. Getting better.
Let's usually go back through.
Down to a day.
Like what, 2 a month now?
Anybody have any question on any of the purchases between the two chiefs?
That's some within budget and all that fun stuff still.
All good on that stuff. So need a resolution to approve 2, 3, 4 purchases, total $8,667.40.
The budget, right?
Yeah.
Vote on it.
Second.
Well, that's just the Lions Club total. We're doing the three, so it's 490 on top of that.
Oh,
No, it's added.
But it looks like it was.
Yeah, it's all added
Alright,
together.
Sorry, Troy Hyde, that's 7 years of my life.
The best 7 years now.
no problem. I'll
Yeah,
second
well.
that, Sean. We'll call vote.
Hi, Rich. Hi, Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
All right, let's look on the standing committee reports. Apparatus, equipment, and fireman operations.
I was kind of taking the lead on the rescue thing.
Sorry.
And it's been.
Sorry about that, we didn't do a rescue project. Through Bob's and Terry's effort, they sent us back a revised letter to share with the vendors that we've chosen to deal with. Requests for information. Those that have been sitting in those meetings will realize that the vendors just do not want to deal with it that way. And we're not backing down. They just want to be given, hey, I want to buy your truck and here's the price. So we had one actually, he was jumping off the ledge. Okay, we can talk him back, but right now we've gotten good feedback from E1. They want to schedule a trip. The closest truck that probably has 9, were you there?
No.
Okay.
You gotta know.
They said that the closest truck to us, geographically, would be in Hudson. And they said that truck is about 90 to 95% of what we would want. So they've agreed to set up a time when we can go down and look at that truck, play with it, touch it. Talk. They've been great. I can't say anything bad about them. Garrison, they're struggling with some of the things that we're asking for. Rosenbauer, I think we're working towards some solutions that we're, we can see common ground. And the closest truck they got is a mid-mount and that they built, what we were looking for is connect these, and they're supposed to be forwarding that information. Met the other night with Ferrara. I can say that they were very open, honest. Probably the one that said with that hasn't raised a lot of concerns, just questioning why we're doing certain things a different way. Wednesday, we're supposed to meet with KME. One of the struggles we're having is, and Rich and myself are kind of in a different spot on this. I don't think either one of us have got our heels dug in completely. But in the potential to save $200,000 to $400,000, the truck may be real close or maybe just a little too high for the firehouse in Winesco. Okay. So I've asked a couple of people, a couple of contractors and over at Door people, just give us some feedback. What a ballpark number would be if we wanted to do that. Mid mounts will fit in there, but the price, if you're looking at a $2 million rear mount, you're looking at $2.3 million, $2.4 million for mid mount. They're almost all of them are in sync when it comes to that. Okay. There's an open house on the 18th that will be going down to Harrison's, Palinville. They will have Lake George rear mount truck there. Okay.
That's the truck that started this discussion about rear mount. Got the information about what the village board was able to save on the rear mount versus the mid mount.
And that truck's a hard 12 foot. 12 foot even. Winesco's door is 11, 8 3/4. Is that what it was? 11, 9 3/4. Is it what it won't? I think it was 11, 8 3/4. So once you get through real quick, it'll be okay. But the rest of the
One
time.
time.
But those are some things to have to look at. I don't know the answers to those. We've asked them to, I've got one set of bid specs back on the truck that they've already built. I've got another one coming from Garrison for Schenectady mid mount. And then I have a set that's coming from Ferrara for rear mount. That closest one I think he said he had was in
Rutland, Vermont. And just I know we mentioned in previous meetings, but to fill out the picture, we did also talk to Pierce, and they pretty much put themselves out of contention by insisting on insisting on this escalation clause thing that they put in and failing to produce any kind of information back to us when we said, show us something in writing about this, so we better understand it. They haven't sent us that.
What to explain a little bit better or in more detail, not better, but Pierce has an escalator clause in their contract. So if they if they bid $2 million, that's not necessarily the cost when you get the truck. It's contingent on inflation and increased costs that they experience.
some kind of national index that percentage wise, if it goes up a certain amount, it's kind of like, your social security going up a half a percent with inflation, you know? It's-
2% property tax cap, that's not really 2%, it's some convoluted.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's,
Exactly.
they take the averages, they do some, and it's not in the fire department, in the fire.
It's a producer price index, like consumer price index, and price index, which is going up.
What's the part that you guys were on there? Possibly, what was the part you guys might be on different pages?
The door, changing, opening the overhead door.
Would it be worth, that's not my area at all, but just having like a conversation with that anchor who kind of.
Well, I've looked at it, I've talked to a couple of people. They're both supposed to just give me a ballpark, because the back end of it's $275,000, just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because back in at $70,000, okay, we're saving 300 to spend 70, you know.
Well, I just met that company that just did it all.
And what happened,
happened? Just like, hey, it's just.
and what's happening is a non-weight-bearing wall. Okay,
You're talking about two doors too, because you want to,
No, I know, but I mean-
maintain the drive-through capability.
Just gonna like a quick phone call to Ed Anchor with, what's the name of their company?
Finney,
With
the
Finney.
Finney Group.
To say, hey, is this worth exploring? You know, just because they know the building.
I mean,
Might be worth it.
again,
I don't think it's a bad idea.
I'm just waiting for them to get,
Yeah.
if they come back and say X, then they say, woo, they, you know.
Because we probably love them anyway, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, we'd have to get an architectural engineer in there.
My fear on it, put on the table, is that just spent 3 million plus on major renovation. We didn't consider it, we didn't make it part of it, we didn't do it. And I wonder what the public's interpretation of what we're doing is. God, these guys just spent $3 million, $4 million on renovating a firehouse, and now they're doing it again.
I think you can justify if you say, yes, we're spending $100,000 to do this, but we're saving you 300,000 on this end.
If those are the hard numbers.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't know.
And again, you know, like I said, it's
And
200,
as I said at the truck committee, meeting, the same person, in the public could say, spend nothing and put their ladder down here, the rest of
Well,
it.
it costs nothing to make a phone call.
Right.
I would call an anchor and say, hey, here's something worth, are we crazy or is it worth exploring? You may say, you know what, it's not a bad idea.
If it makes sense, $500,000, no.
I mean,
But you gotta dot your eyes, because like, the public could also do the opposite.
right,
You know, if you just raised that, you could have saved us taxpayers, so you know, 'cause it's out there. It's on YouTube.
well, I mean, just to give you feedback on the door.
Yeah.
The guy, Matt's an overhead door, I called him. He didn't come look at it, didn't do anything. You're like $10,000 to $15,000 a good budget number. I'm like, it seems a little high, but, you know, because the door is fairly new and there's different size sections on that door. The top two are smaller.
Okay.
So I think if we got, the one guy did
Panels.
just 2 panels and some track work, you know, but again, you know, I'm supposed to have both of it, both the ballparks from both the people that we talked to sometime in the next week. But I just wanted the board and everybody to understand that, you know, and then a couple of people in our meeting, truck committee meeting said, if you're gonna do it, just raise it to max and get it over with. And I'm like, let's take a look at, you know, if it's $30,000 to raise it 8 inches, but $200,000 to raise it 16 inches, it doesn't make sense. You know, but.
That theoretically would also open up to at least one other vendor that we haven't talked to. Strictly because we know that their configuration won't fit in the building it is. And that's something we just got done with.
But then you just gotta find out, just kind of dispel or quell or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Just enough.
I mean, my viewpoint of it was it's not costing anything to ask questions. And if, you know, but Rich brought it up, the fact that he had the opportunity to sit with the people from Lake George and his eyes were opened up, brought it back to the committee and whereas, you know, so. You know,
And 10 to 20% savings on a $2 million vehicles. Pretty significant. To talk to, Terry earlier, I'm hoping that we will be able to have something for the October meeting that the committee feels strongly about something that we want to do. Okay, and then start the process there and,
Strongly meaning what?
Uh,
Strongly meaning what? Going with a mid mount, a rear mount, up in
A-
the door, we have a lot of
a-
questions on the table.
right, but a proposal where we sit there and say, this is where we're at for the door, this is the truck that we like, those kind of things.
A lot
Uh,
of pieces gotta come together.
right, yeah, but we did get warned by one vendor, he assumes from previous experiences, they'll have a significant increase after the first year.
We've heard it at least twice, 4.5%.
If it's every year,
They
sometimes
told
twice
you.
a year.
They
Yeah,
told us
yeah.
that.
So you gotta sign the contract now, otherwise the price might.
The other big fear is the,
They'll do that.
2027, 8 changes in the Cummins motors. That's gonna be a big, matter of fact, one of the proposals, one of the presentations that we looked at, we were led to believe at the end of it that the way looks like they're gonna configure the Cummins motor is that we would lose the officer's side, rear, part of the rear, passenger door. Because that, you know how the console is in the middle? Well, that would wrap around and cover where the door is with just the exhaust and cooling system.
They've got a thing that they've designed.
And that whole area would be taken up by,
It is probably 2/3 the size of the engine.
yeah.
But just,
And I mean, it's not pie in the sky. They showed us pictures of them sitting on an engine rack. So it's like crazy stuff.
the fire manufacturers are trying to talk to Cummins about that not being acceptable in its application. What they explained to us was, if that gets approved by EPA, they can't change it.
Yeah.
That's
That's the proposed emissions.
that's it, that's done, they can't move it, they can't do anything, so we're trying to,
Picture the apparatus we have on both sides of town, losing that right rear crew cab door. Trying to fit your people on the driver's side somehow. I don't know how it.
I don't think.
I don't know how it-
I think what you're gonna end up seeing is that the doghouse will move backwards. Like, wheel bricks.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not what they showed us, but
Right, but that's,
I would hope that would be the case.
yeah, they won't lose a car, bro. You'll see that doghouse. in the back.
they'll have
Actually,
to
it's four
find,
half spaces.
you know, in that case, I don't think we'll be able to get them in mount. Because that engine, everything would be right there. They told us pretty much they have to move it back, that they don't know what they're gonna do with mid mounts. Now, there is one thing that they're holding off on, just not politics, but evidently the guy said that Lee Zeldin, EPA commissioner, he has proposed rolling all that stuff back.
But that was the one salesman that lives in Long Island. So Lee Zeldin is a local hero to him and. That was.
Go to St. Louis.
So it's kind of a pivotal point. Not that we haven't seen those before. Fire apparatus.
That's, and any questions on the truck company? Anybody wants, I can get you a copy of the RFI. Bob can give you one. If you haven't seen it, most guys from Winesville have. The only other thing next would be,
No, yeah, just so everyone's aware, we sent these manufacturers a wish list and said, these are the kinds of things that we're looking for. And it was wide open for them to tell us how they build their fire trucks. And they came back and told us, well, tell us how you want it built. And it's like, we're not in the fire truck design business. And so we want them to tell us how they would build that truck. And we're not getting that. And and any other time I've been involved in a truck debate, that's how we did it. We gave them a preliminary and said, tell us how you would build this truck. And now they're not coming back.
The last guy from Ferrara kind of seemed a little more open to it, but the other ones, they were like,
I'll push back.
But they might be afraid simply of, something goes wrong, we turn back to them and say, hey,
what,
you might want to.
They don't want, they want you to come to them and say, I want to buy your truck, and then they'll hand you the source well menu. And you'll pick off the menu, and then they're done. And they'll collect the.
that's good, that, I can support that 100% there. It was, every one of them was, they didn't want to they didn't want to sell their truck. They wanted you to buy their.
One thing I want to do a little more research on, I've done some. I used to teach the truck out. I'm not a truck, right? Not a truckie. So by some weird fluke of fate, the state of New York qualified me at one time or another to qualify me to teach the truck company operations course. All right. But one of the things that we have as an operational requirement is that anyone that operates the truck is required to demonstrate that they can, or anybody that operates the turntable is required, the bucket is required to demonstrate that they can climb down the tower. And I've gone back through training courses and manuals and videos and all kinds of, and the number of times I've ever seen somebody climbing down a tower ladder can be counted on less fingers than one hand holds. So I wonder if, and that's holding one manufacturer from being able to bid or participate. It's also greatly limiting what the other manufacturers are able to do with it. Because we're trying to put a set of rails on top of rails and a ladder on top of a box frame that's carrying the bucket. So I think we need to better evaluate that too. And I would ask everybody to just think about that. Do we really need that as a qualification? Or is that a requirement that's carried back from, because of the way we've always done it kind of thing? And every fire department, every fire district has things in their requirements that are there because it's the way we've always done it. And if that's one that's hurting us with these vendors, then this might be a good time to think about it.
Good thought though. Change a lot. Any other questions for me? Nope. Anything on recruitment? Wrong one. Never mind. That's farther down. That's in recruitment, but that's on the bottom. Way ahead.
The other thing is the equipment stuff. I don't know where you want to fit in the rescue 4.2 reefer.
It falls under apparatus stuff.
Do you guys have anything ready there?
We put something out to Bob today. He sent back then we got a little bit more explanation on what we were asking for in that rehab. Jeff was nice enough to come over and go over it with me yesterday through his experience, having revamped their truck. And come up with a pretty good list of things and a better explanation of what we need. And AJ and I trying to put something together today, and we sent a copy to Dan and a copy to Bob. And Bob, I'll want to speak to you for a minute after the meeting about that. That's okay. But hopefully they'll move the bid process, to fitting out the work forward.
Did you see what they sent about? Just because I know you're some concerned about how it worded and stuff, but how ambiguous it was for a bidder.
No, I just needed more detail,
Yeah.
more scope of work, that's all. It's, when you get it, send it over and we'll.
Did you send it to
He
you?
sent it to you. He said.
Did you send it?
AJ sent it, he said, yeah, 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay, maybe he did,
Yeah,
okay.
you got yours.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock, okay. I'll input that in and then we'll get it out to the board. I mean, Terry, all the boilerplate, everything on that end is okay, right? So it's just the scope of work. Okay.
So in order, do we, and then this is a curiosity thing, do we table it to make it, to move along with the bid, or do you think,
No, you guys already approved it.
okay?
You approved
Okay,
it.
so-
It's already been
That's
approved.
all, I'm just,
It was just-
everybody,
yep.
if I don't think,
It was Terry and I
Yeah.
worked on that end. It's just, we needed more substance to the scope of work.
So if you're- if
Once
you're
that gets
comfortable
done,
with that,
then we'll
what-
send it out to the various
Okay.
vendors.
Okay, you guys okay with that?
I didn't know we covered that.
Okay. The board has already approved
Going out.
for going out to bid for it. Bob is going to review what you sent with Terry. And as long as that's, if they deem that's enough specifics, they will just send a bid out to the potential vendors.
Yeah.
You forward that? Yes.
Okay.
Correct. All set?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Moving on to building and grounds. All right, anything?
I already covered the water infiltration. There's an email going back about just the lettering of the numbering.
Number outlines go.
Yeah, yeah, that, so it's been kind of quiet.
And then, all police crossings been taken care of, checked off the list, right? Don't worry about that. District personnel, Dan, right? All right. Finance, insurance and audit. Finance, insurance and audit.
Last month, we were given the audit report from the CPA, and we approved that report. However, listed on the final financial statement, there was unassigned funds of $50,940. And traditionally, we either use that to transfer it to capital reserve equipment, or we've used it in the past to shore up LoSAP. So I need a resolution for this $50,940 to be moved to
Give a recommendation.
capital reserve equipment.
What are these numbers?
Well, my opinion is.
No, this is the number, the one I
I know,
said,
what are these?
there's prior year and prior. year.
Oh, okay.
We have 2 card threes that need to be replaced that we took out of the budget. This would help offset some of the costs.
Yeah, I just want to know if you had a record. Sometimes we do a mix of both.
Yeah, I just-
recommend putting all of it towards.
We've made strides with LoSAP, we've gotten it up in a better position, so, and we need money for the equipment, so that would be my suggestion.
Anybody else have any concerns?
Make a motion.
Resolution.
Huh?
Resolution.
I make a resolution to move the excess balance into the capital reserve fund, vehicle capital. Equipment, yeah, equipment.
I knew you.
Second by Dan. So call
Aye.
Rich. Nick.
vote. Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian. Aye.
All right. Pretty sure the Bank of America credit card is due, right?
Yeah, so last month or the month before, when I was reviewing the bills, so the credit card bill just kind of dawned on me, there's a lot of cash back options out there, so I asked Bob to look into it. In a nutshell, he did. We're currently customers of Bank of America. We have credit cards through them. They offer 1.5% cash back card, no annual fee, no cap on the 1.5% cash back. So my recommendation, and I'll put it in the form of a motion, is that we authorize Bob to apply for these new credit cards. Fire district, current card holders, I'm not one of them, but we get the new cards. And I would suggest keeping the other ones open and you just keep them locked up in there, just as a backup. You know, we're leaving money on the table. This costs nothing and we're gonna get 1.5% back. So, guess I'll make, and you can see the email from Bob to me explaining all this. And he gave options, with Capital One, Bank of Green County, but we're already with Bank of America, so it just seems easier to stay with them.
The only thing that I would say, and I'm sure we will do it, just making it overt, is historically, sometimes they change that program after they've gotten you on the end of the hook and you're on the end of it. So I would suggest that Bob or somebody just keeps an eye that they don't say, well, you know, that's $100 a card and, you know,
Yeah,
something like that.
if there's any changes, but otherwise. Who are the card holders? I know I had said I didn't want one anymore after a certain.
Yeah, Sean, me,
Card was found in Dinosaur Barbecue.
Brian, Rich, and the two chiefs,
Brian, Rich,
the two chiefs. Yep,
And you.
and me.
You're making,
So that's the motion.
making a motion to open up the new,
For Bob to apply.
group of the apply for the cash rewards credit cards.
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One other thing real quick. On that, just so Bob doesn't need, or Sean, either one need to come back and ask the board what we keep doing with that 1.5% back. It can either be issued as a statement credit or redeemed by check. My recommendation would be to kind of leave that professional judgment to Sean and Bob to make that decision. Would this be allowed, Terry? Just so they don't need to keep asking us. I mean, if you think it should be a check and you put it somewhere else, a statement credit. Just so we don't need to deal with that every single month.
Bob and I were also talking about maybe, not that I'm a big fan of credit cards, but maybe we should pay more of our bills using the credit card. Like, I don't know if the utilities, I think they didn't want, but. And we get.
What do you guys lose?
Yeah, no,
So we can make it money.
I'm gonna look into that too, so
Yeah.
we can get some money kicked back to us.
So as far as the
Couple.
use of that 1.5%, do I need to include that in the motion at all, that we're leaving that up to them, and maybe they could just report back periodically?
Yeah,
you
just,
know?
probably ought to be revisited every year, you know, or
Organizational.
Sean's treasurer's report, and this is where it's going. You
Yeah,
know,
how much we earn back and
Yeah.
where it was allocated. Maybe periodically, just let us know.
it may just make more sense to take it off, Charlie, you know, that way it's watched every month, right?
Yeah,
So whatever works for him, but that may be more of an accounting problem though, and what works with the.
yeah, so whatever you,
Whatever you figure.
yeah, I'd put as much as you can on that card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, that's all I've got.
Perfect.
Oh, did we vote on that?
Yeah.
Did we? Okay.
You may need to change your credit card policy too, so. Credit card. Yes, that-
We'll get the new cards.
Mhm.
And then take a look at the policy, if you think we need to tweak the policy at
Come
all, so
back.
you can use the cards for other purchases.
Yep.
Cable, whatever, I'm not even sure what all goes on that. That's all I got.
Could you set the payment date, for the cards, so it's after this? Make it the middle of the month, so you don't get an issue with. You know, when they issue the cards, it's the billing cycle, you do that on the front end?
I think it's all when they set the account up.
Most
That's how. Yeah, okay, they will, okay, yeah,
It might just be easier to do it for like the third week, fourth week of the month, that way you can get paid timely.
well, that's already included in the organizational, that we pay it when we get it, and that's
Prior to
approved.
the meeting.
Right. So we, as soon as we get it, we pay it. And that every year the board reestablishes, but what we may need to do, if we want to put like Spectrum and Casella on there, which, you know, at the end of the day, it's another $10,000 a year. That's $150, you know, $150 is $150. So, but we'll look at the list that you approved. And then if we have to make some changes, we'll come back to you to ask you to make those changes.
All right, long range planning, Brian.
Well, we're basically have another meeting, just so everybody's prepared. The report was to modify the report we issued 6 months ago. So it's next month just be, you know, prepared more for like topics such as the Tahoes, progress to recognized truck committee that was supposed to be done this year. Thank you. Truck 42, that was the big concern of our meetings back in March, that we wait till the end of this year. We'll be paying Get the exact number, but basically there are $200,000 to $400,000 more for a truck by ordering it this year. Station keepers will be on the agenda again. Tahoes, we're not in too bad of a shape because looking at the schedule we put out originally was 27 for the first Tahoe we replaced, so that would be on the agenda for next year. But the biggest thing was getting the answers for this, because if we're going to do a tax increase, it's going to be this year because we weren't going to do two back-to-back larger tax increases.
Yep.
So we're already doing one in 28, pay for the truck. So, prepared to hopefully take some action next month. Yeah.
All right.
I'll send an email out to the chiefs and under committees, we'll meet again.
Policies, procedures, and membership. We have one, application for membership, Pablo Flores from the Freesville, second by Bob. That's a motion.
Aye.
Aye. LoSAP, you have to go to an executive session and talk about that later. Business operations and technology. Yeah,
I don't have anything on
development plan and review. Been pretty quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, the only thing I've seen was they're adding a little room down the back of Hanford for some kind of freezer type thing. There's a loading dock, but nothing to shattering.
One thing I noticed was the nice two houses that are sitting on Blooming Grove over there now. Shows you how many weeks I've been out of town, so. Recruitment and retention.
The committee is, and the committees, joint committee, work together in many, many ways. We're in a bustle. And unfortunately, despite their good work, hard work, I don't think we're seeing anywhere near the numbers that we'd like to see from them. And I think that may just be a sign of times. But they're doing exactly what we asked them to, is to work at it so that we can, at the very least, document that the district and the fire companies have done everything possible to recruit members, and people aren't doing it. And that's going to help support discussion that I think that Brian wants to have next month regarding the possibility of hiring some station keepers, daytime firefighters. We're not getting members on either side, you know. Seeing some, earlier in the year, late that year, early this year, so big raft of full timers back to line and stuff. We're starting to see that a little bit recently now. For once. So that, you know, that's not the young blood that we're trying to attract. Meeting may be beneficial because it's a program control, not just so that's what we for people. Benefit. So. You still have the purchases planned, they know that there's a committee for the plan for where they want to go, what they want to do, so. You know, you stand full energy. And I give them all the credit for work for all the energy they're putting into trying to make this happen. So Lions Club crew was out this weekend at the fair. And I don't, did they get anybody?
I don't know, I really thought them. They fall heavily.
Supposedly they got one person that's 17, what he'll be, because there was discussion whether to put him in the junior firefighters one, but I think it's February, he's gonna be 18.
Yeah.
But
No
the
point in
process
it.
of paperwork.
That's what they.
I know just out of the last few months that we had to try to confirm the numbers. I think we had almost 7 brand new members come in this year, and there was 4 returnings that we got back. So it means 11 that we've gotten so far this year within the last.
Those are good numbers.
9-10 months.
But when we look at retention, where are we with that? I mean, those are things we gotta look at.
I think a lot of things is just The call volume right now, if we look at it, is between hours of 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Anything after that is kind of sporadic. So it's the occasional call here and there overnights. So that's probably the biggest thing with staffing has been the day side of things is, fortunate enough we have some of the old guys around and depending on the shift workers that are around, we kind of we'll make it work. But it's just that daytime hours are the biggest draw for us.
I might just add something to Chief Wilson's, comments right there. So, talk about call numbers. So from January 1st to September 1st of this year, 68% of our calls land between 0600 and 1800. Our busiest day was Fridays, and our busiest hour was 1700 to 1800. So we all things we already know, but our good Alpine reporting has confirmed that.
Dinner at Vanderheim. So
Yeah, and I mean, just from the Treesville side, the chief can probably answer for his side of town, but we have X amount, we have 22 interior firefighters. 68% of them work a Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 9 to 5 job. So and over the past 2 years, we've taken in 10 new interior firefighters. 8 of them work Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 jobs. One from the State Police Academy, and one is a Fisher shift worker. So our recruitment retention committees, we'll set us down, like Commissioner Frank was saying, working real hard. We're taking people in, and our members that are around during the day are doing hard work, right? Because that's where most of the calls are happening. But like I said, we can't rely on that forever because that's going to burn them out too. Because then we're seeing more drill attendants because they're taking in on calls during the day and then overnight too. So, and just they do a lot of really, really good work. But when I come down to it, they do wear air packs. We try during the day, but like I said, we're trying our absolute hardest to put that down. So, good discussion for.
Got any public session? All right, hearing none, the motion for executive session is talking about appointment of a history of a member. They were. Sean and Terry can say about it.